Hi, I'm Andy Anderson. I'm here to answer your questions through the Discord platform that Chris has set up for me right here. Thank you very much, Chris. Cool, let's do it. First question from Hassan. Do you have any physical fitness routines? Yes, I do. I do stretching in the mornings, but recently I started riding my bike, and I found out that when I bike around, like I'll just bike kind of far to a coffee shop, get my coffee, bike back to my place, and by that point I'm kind of warmed up, depending on how far the coffee shop is. And then once I'm warmed up, then I can start stretching, and then I kind of do a few sun salutations and like some pigeon poses, just the generic stuff. So it's like getting the warm up before the stretch, and then after the stretch, I'm good to go for the day. Maybe a little light warm up right before skating. What's your favorite obstacle to skate? From Keeter. Flat bar. Flat bar is my favorite obstacle. Round, flat bar, below the knee in height, preferably with some weird kinks and stuff. But my favorite one is Cherry Park. Cherry Park flat bar in Long Beach. I love balancing. I love jumping onto it, jumping off of it, trying to understand the four corners of my trucks. You know, back heel, back toe, front heel, front toe. There's just so much to learn there. Flat bar, favorite obstacle. Round, flat bar. Okay, we got Technique 1000. He's got a question for me. He asks, how do you approach new tricks when you're adding them to your freestyle routine? So that's something interesting. He said freestyle routine. And with freestyle, when you do tricks, they kind of lead into other tricks. And you end up making a routine just by skating, just by doing the tricks. Well, you just got to really focus on what's flowing. So where your feet are, where your feet got to be to set up for the trick, and then what tricks lead you into that foot positioning naturally. You see Rodney do it a lot, where he'll land a certain trick, and then his shoulders are wound up, and that leads him into another trick. And sometimes learning a new trick will teach you more tricks out of it. I don't know, it's a trip. It's a trip. You know, sometimes I'll land a kickflip way up on my nose, and then I'll do a nollie 360, shove it out, just so I don't have to shuffle my feet back. My feet are already there. And freestyle routines kind of work like that. Yeah. Do what you will with that answer. Poopcorn. What is your favorite and least favorite freestyle trick? Oh my God. Favorite freestyle trick is definitely spacewalks. Just love spacewalks. So good. And my least favorite freestyle trick, unless I got padding on, is no-handed pogos, man. They just ruin my knee. My kingpin just goes in the side of my knee and you're jumping up and down. No-handed pogos. Unless you got shin pads or knee pads on, I avoid that trick like the plague. Okay, Angry Walrus. The walrus in his profile picture does not look that angry, but I will let it slide. What trick gave you the most satisfaction when you finally landed it? By far the most satisfying trick I've ever done was the 50-50 front foot impossible down the eye doctor rail, which was the ender in my Andy Anderson skateboarding part. Just felt so much more important than any other trick I've ever done. And to give you an extent of how deep that importance is, when I graduated high school, I decided not to cut my hair until either I went pro or I got married. And like, I needed a big event to happen for me to cut my hair. And I went pro and I still didn't cut my hair. Like, I still didn't do it. And I don't mean chop it off, I just mean trim. Like, this is like touch-ups. But when I landed that trick, I immediately got a haircut. That trick took so much out of me, man. Because it was a trick I knew, 50-50 front foot. But on an obstacle that was so haunting and the security was such a problem there, And the way that the trick worked on that spot was just, it didn't want to work there. A couple nights before I landed it, I just had an epiphany. I had like a whiteboard set up at my parents' house, and I just had an epiphany when I was falling asleep. I was like, I need to lock heel side if I need to go out straight. Like I was trying to cross lock it and do it, but the leverage wasn't right. And locking heel side really was the secret that I needed to uncover for me to land that trick. So that trick for me was the most satisfying. I went back so many times cross-locking it and couldn't get it, and then realizing, no, I have to lock heel side, and then landing it, and knowing that that's why I landed it. Just so much time and effort, and then figuring it out intelligently. By far most satisfying trick. Got my hair cut. Boom, done. Rocky boy. Rocky boy. This guy over here, he's asking me, what does it mean for you having Nigel around? Seems like you two go well together. Nigel. Nigel's one of my best friends, and he really changed my life for the better. I don't know where I'd be without Nigel right now. He introduced me to his way of filming, which is really tailored for my way of skating, and that taught me a lot about life, and we've traveled a lot together. So for having Nigel in my life is a huge positive energy for me, because at the time the filmers I was dealing with were more of the type where they would set up their camera for a long time, and then they would hope to get one trick out of the day. Well, Nigel, on the other hand, was very more, let's capture the whole process. Let's capture you climbing out of the van. And that's kind of what I do. That's kind of what I like, is the whole vibe around everything. And then he pushed me to go to Braille, which I was super nervous about. Wasn't sure if that was the right move. Was getting lots of mixed opinions before I went, and then after I went, that really changed my life and helped me promote my skateboard and all this stuff. So we are very high functioning task companions. If I gotta get something done, I call up Nigel, we get it done together. Love having a relationship like that. Walter Brewski. I'm sure you get compared a lot to other iconic skaters, but you've never really seemed, sorry, I'm shit at reading. I'm sure you get compared a lot to other iconic skaters, but you've never really seemed like that's mattered to you. Are there skaters that you have aspired to be like in your skating or attitude, outlook? Who were your influences? Damn. So I was really inspired by 80s skateboarding. Powell, Peralta, Dogtown Z-Boys, that whole scene. I would say out of anybody, if I've emulated anybody the most, it would be Mark Gonzalez. I just love his take on life and what he's done with his career, and I feel like he paved a path for artistic skateboarding. So thanks, Mark. Kevin Harris, huge influence, showing me that a whole skateboard career can exist without ever ollieing and rejecting the norm to do what you're passionate about. Thank you, Kevin. Natas Kappas, with the conceptual breakthrough of the handrail, among many other things. These are the guys that I've looked up to the most. Steve Caballero, also, lifestyle-wise, like, never had a job, never did really anything other than music and skate and design, and I just love that. I just think that's so cool, and it's so important to have people like that to look up to, because they didn't have people like that to look up to. They were making it up as they went along, and now we can learn from watching their life's work. So cool. Thanks, guys. Boom. You done with PJC? How's a question? What's the best part of working with George Powell? I'd say the best part of working with George is the fact that the intention is to push skateboarding forward above the intention of selling product. And I just love that. That all the focus is on how do we get skateboarding from here to there? How do we progress skateboarding through product design. And George has kind of done it all from the beginning. Like his Quicksilver boards are awesome. The aluminum, if you don't know what Quicksilver skateboards are, it has nothing to do with Quicksilver, the clothing brand. That's just George pre-Powell. You should look it up. Super cool. Boom, Crackswell. What up, Crackswell? He's got a question for me. He asked me, if you had to pick between freestyle, street, or transition to skate for the rest of your life, what would you pick? The answer is street, because there's freestyle and transition in the street. And for me, street is just skating the whole world. So for sure, street. 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 RP Fighter. What's RP Fighter got to say? He says, what is the process of making your board shapes? I'd say the process of making my board shapes starts with a trick or a series of tricks or every trick or trying to find what I'm trying to do with the skateboard and then tailoring the board to that. John Preston Brooks. Do you ever plan on putting out a pure freestyle deck? Yes. I do plan on it. I really want to put out a pure freestyle deck. But if I did, I would want it to come with trucks and wheels. See, the freestyle wheels too, and it would have to be a setup. Because then you need skid plates too. So it's a project. Because if you have the deck out, but you don't have the skid plates for it, like I want to go all in. If I'm going to do it, it's going to be everything. This guy, I don't know how to say his name. When's the last time you lost your shit? You seem pretty chill. Oh man. Usually when I lose my shit, I go like into depression rather than anger. And then in those states, I just hide. Like I don't show myself. I feel like the energy I put out, I get back really fast in the world. So when I'm having good days, I have like really good days and people pick up on my energy and they give me back what I'm emitting. But when I'm feeling terrible, like if I get a bad feeling and then I go outside, people look at me like I'm a criminal, dude. Like if I'm in the park and I'm in a bad mood, like the cars will drive by and their eyes will just cling to me and they like, oh, it's so weird. So and when I'm on my weird days, I just stay inside and hide because I don't know what the hell's gonna happen. Stom365. Is there any famous handrail that you dream to dark slide? No. I'm looking for one. The big thing holding me back from doing dark slides on handrails is how freaking sackable that trick is and how long I would want the rail to be. Like a lot of handrails that tech tricks go down on are short enough that if you miss the flip in, you're not gonna sack. But I would want a rail long enough that I can sit on, set up to flip out. So if you have any rails that are super long and not sackable height at the beginning, let me know. The Gilded Wizard has a question. He says, what are your bucket list skate spots? And who's on your skate Mount Rushmore? Oh. Bucket list skate spots are like spots that I haven't found yet, that I'm looking for. Like spots that fit said criteria that I write for myself. And who's on my skate route Mount Rushmore would be Nadas, Gons, Kevin, Rodney, Kevin Harris, and Rodney Mullen, and it's got to be a fifth one. Matt Hensley. Stom365. Who was your favorite skater growing up? That's a good question. Probably Deerman. PSA Arquette. PS Art. Arquette. Art. Dude, I don't know if this name is supposed to be said. Have you ever thought about skating from White Rock to Venice? What? That'd be so sick. I've never thought about that. Thanks for implanting the thought. It's a 24-hour drive. I wonder how long it would be to skate. DJ No Stay. No Stay? It's like nasty. DJ Nostay. Last time you had a haircut? It was just a couple weeks ago. Jesse of Venice. If you need a haircut, find Jesse of Venice. I don't know where you could find him, but that's his name. Vernon. What's it like skating with Dan Corrigan? Well, it's really fun. I like skating with Dan. I like skating with Dan because I like his brain, and I like to pick his brain. So he's really good at saying like, hey, you could do this trick, or if you went here, you would do that, or if you're standing that way, you could learn this. So I love skating with Dan just to bounce ideas off of him, and vice versa. Oh, dude, that was it.
That was it?
That was it.
Oh, shit.
Oh, shit, that was it. That's been Questions with Andy. Hope you had a wonderful time. See you later.